Chapter 6. The weird lady from the museum was sitting in a booth. She had all kinds of gifts for sale. Cat key rings, cat mugs, cat sweaters, cat earmuffs, bumper stickers that said, "Cats rule." There were even little gold statues of the cat goddess Bast. Each one had a tiny gold earring in one ear. "Excuse me, ma'am," I called out. "I have to talk to you." I started for her booth. "Where are you going?" asked Dad. "It's the cat lady from the museum," I said. When I got to her booth, she looked up at me with those weird two-color eyes. "It's you!" she cried. "Yes, it's me," I said. "What's happening? Your cat scratched me in the museum, and now I'm turning into a cat myself. What happened to you was a mistake," she hissed at me. "That honor was supposed to be mine." "Honor?" I said. "Being turned into a cat is an honor?" "Yes, of course it is an honor to have the spirit of the great cat goddess Bast enter one's body and transform it." "Yikes," I said. "Is that what's happening to me? The spirit of Bast has entered my body?" She nodded seriously. According to the prophecy, this honor is given once every 1,000 years to a member of the royal family, not to some ordinary child. The way she said child made it sound like a dirty word. "I was the chosen one," she said. "You see, I'm Her Royal Highness, Princess Katima." She acted like I was supposed to bow down to her or something. "And all this happened when I got scratched?" I asked. Another nod. At the exact moment I was to get the sacred scratch, you stepped in the way. "Hey, I'm sorry, all right?" "Foolish boy," she cried. "I have been waiting for years. Instead, you will be transformed by the great cat goddess Bast, and I will be chopped liver." "You know," I said, "I'm not exactly thrilled about the sacred scratch mix-up either. I'm planning to become a Major League Baseball player when I grow up. That's going to be hard enough to do as a person. I don't even want to think how hard it would be as a cat." "Look, isn't there anything we can do?" "What do you mean?" "Well, you were mentioning some prophecy," I said. "Didn't it say anything about what to do if somebody messes up?" "Of course," she said, "but there is no way to correct such a mistake. Not here in this country." The lady then picked up one of the books she was selling. I could see that the pages were all in hieroglyphics. She began to read. "In the year of the papyrus, that is the current year, the spirit of the goddess Bast shall pass into the body of the one who has one green eye and one gray one. But I don't have one green eye and one gray one," I broke in. "That is why you are a mistake," she shouted Miss Princess Katima. "A blooper, a screw up in the cosmic clockwork of the universe." I said I was sorry about that, I replied. Princess Katima gave me a disgusted look and started reading again. Should a mishap occur, there will be a 48-hour grace period to correct it. In the hour between light and darkness, on the banks of the great river, in the shadow of the stones that touch the clouds, gather a handful of sand from where you stand and fling it into the wind. As the last grain of sand falls to the ground, you shall scratch the right end through her hair. She closed the book. The great river, she said, is the Nile, of course. And the stones that touch the clouds are the tips of the great pyramids. But the Nile and the pyramids are in Egypt. And the 48-hour period is almost up. We could never get to Egypt in time, so to correct the mishap is quite impossible, you see. Well, maybe it was okay with the princess here if I became a cat, but it sure wasn't okay with me. There had to be a way out. I tried to think like Spencer. Does the prophecy actually say it has to be the Nile? I asked. Well, no, not exactly, she said. Why? Because New York happens to have some pretty great rivers too, like the Hudson. The minute I said Hudson, it was like little flashy bulbs went off, pop, in my head. I remember the park by Spencer's house and how you could see the twin towers of the World Trade Center. I failed to see how I didn't let the princess finish. Listen, I said, my friend Spencer lives near a park that's right on the Hudson. It's near the Twin Towers, which also happen to have a lot of stones that touch the clouds. The park even has a sandbox. So maybe we can fix the mistake without going all the way to Egypt. It will never work, she said. Boy, I wondered if everybody in the royal family was that negative. Look, princess, I said, it's our only hope. So let's get going. Chapter 7. We're going where to do what? Said Dad. He looked pretty upset. I was pulling him by the arm. We're going to Spencer's Park to try and undo this prophecy. I will tell you all about it later, Dad. Believe me, this is my one chance to become a boy again. We said quick goodbyes to Maurice and Bernice. Then we rushed out of Madison Square Garden, Dad, the princess, and me. We hopped in a cab. By the time we got to Spencer's Park, the sun was sinking into the river. Yikes. Just a few minutes between life as a normal boy and eating meow mix every day for breakfast. It took me a minute to find the sandbox. Two little kids were building a castle together. Shoo, small children, scat! Shouted Princess Katima. They scattered. We got into the sandbox. Katima started swinging back and forth, waving her arms over her head. Dad and I had to sway too. Then Katima faced the river and began to chant. I couldn't understand the words, so it must have been in a foreign language, Egyptian or Pig Latin or something. Repeat after me, said Princess Katima. I tried my best, but I had no idea what what I was saying. About halfway through the chant, Spencer wandered by, carrying his kite. "Hey, Zack," he cried. What the heck are you doing here?" "Shh," I said. I kept on swinging, but I stopped waving my arms. I pointed to the princess. "What's going on?" he asked. "Who's she? And hey, how come your ears are so pointy? I clapped my hand over his mouth. "I was turning into a cat," I whispered. "But the princess here is trying to fix that. You're just in time to help. Join us in the chanting. Repeat everything she says." So now there were four of us chanting and swinging. Then suddenly the princess stopped and looked at me. The sun was about to plop right into the New Jersey. I picked up a handful of sand and threw it in the air. As the last grain fell to the ground, I scratched the princess on the arm. I looked into her face. I swear for a split second I saw the face of Bast the cat goddess too. It was like a photo that gets double exposed or something. "What do we do now?" I asked. "Now?" she said. "Now?" "Yes, now," I said. Her face had gotten this incredibly happy expression on it. "Now?" she repeated. "Meow?" "What?" I said. "Meow?" she said. "Meow." A strange noise was coming from her throat. She was purring. Chapter 8. Suddenly, I felt a tingling on my face. I reached up. What do you know? My whiskers were gone. I touched my ears. They weren't pointy anymore. I thought about birds. Blue jays, yellow canaries, red cardinals with tufts on their heads, tiny hummingbirds. I found the idea of birds really, really boring. As soon as Dad and I got home, I phoned Great-Grandpa Maurice at his hotel. I told him I'd stopped turning into a cat. I told him I was a boy again. "Great news, Jack," said Maurice. "Hey, I got news of my own." "What's that?" I asked. "I won a second-place ribbon for Best Domestic Short Hair in the senior division. So there was a happy ending for everybody. I'm really glad to be a boy again. I don't play with the string anymore. I don't hiss at dogs. I have no use for a litter box. I don't sharpen my nails on the sofa. I've completely lost my interest in birds. But when my dad uses the vacuum cleaner, I still do hide under the coffee table. Oh well, 5 out of 6 isn't bad."